Down in the heartland where they love football in Regina, Saskatchewan, Solomon Elimimian, the president of the Canadian Football League Players Association, of course, had one season for the Riders here at the end of his illustrious career. But you're on to what's next now with the players, and you've had a landmark 7-year CBA agreement with the CFL that includes, for the first time in league history, guaranteed money. How impactful is that for the players?
It's definitely impactful for players. Our belief is the players are the stars of the show. And you want to highlight them. And what we heard from our great fans about continuity. And for us, it's about making our members, helping our members stay in the city as long as possible. Have a long-term career. I was fortunate to have played 9 years in BC and Vancouver, and I was able to form a lot of relationships that help me in the business world outside of football. So I see the benefit of members staying in the city as long as they can, and guaranteed contracts will definitely help with that.
And we're talking about substantial money. So for example, Zach Collaros signed a 3-year extension with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. The final year of that deal, he's guaranteed $300,000 no matter what happens. The team could release him after 1 or 2 years, but he gets that money. So that makes the general managers, the talent evaluators, and the coaches as well really look into this more if they're going to give players that kind of money. But what type of stability does it give players? You being a former CFL MOP yourself, having a long career.
Big time, it's huge, right? So for the next few years, you're going to know that Zach is going to be the leader of that team. He's going to be there. You can go out and market Zach. You can go sell, season ticket jerseys, because you want the fans to make sure they get value in the money that they spend. So they can go and get a Zach Collaros jersey, knowing that he's going to be with the franchise. And now the franchise can go and return and market Zach around the community. And Zach's a phenomenal player, phenomenal talent. So like I said, it's one of many. Right now we have 3 guys that have signed guaranteed contracts, and we're talking to other agents that are discussing guaranteed portion contracts with the clients and their teams. So hopefully this thing continues and snowballs. And for me, I just got to be patient. I'm one that wants to go, and let's get everybody, all our stars guaranteed. But I know it's going to take time, right? But Winnipeg Blue Bombers, they did right by Zach, and Jake Meir as well in Calgary, and Cornelius over there at Edmonton. Those two also have guaranteed portions in their contracts.
Some people might want to know, like in bargaining, how difficult was that to get done, to get the guaranteed money? And on the flip side of that, how do you think that can impact your players long term?
Well, it is tricky because you approach bargaining as what's best. Obviously, the team's going to approach bargaining as what's best for the team, the bottom dollar, revenues, how to make more money on their end. We're going to look at it from, okay, how do you protect our members? How do you make sure the members get, equal share of the pie? But there's another component there, and that's the fans. And I think that's where the guaranteed contracts, the guaranteed portions plays a role in, is for the fans, which are consuming the product. You always have to cater to the fans, right? And I think that we were able to have really good conversations about how this is a win-win for all parties. What they say, rising tide lifts all boats. That's how we see guaranteed contracts. It's good for the players, it's good for the teams, and it's good for our fans.
And that rising tide has also shifted to the salary cap and the minimum salary. So how does that help out players across the league who are coming in, or guys that are making their way up the salary tiers?
Yeah, so what we also institute is revenue sharing. So the players have an equity, piece of the pie, so to speak, now. And that's going to include all revenues. That's going to include Grey Cup as well. We'll be able to go in and audit all revenues. We'll set 2022 as a baseline, and revenue sharing will take into effect in 2024. And whatever that difference is, wherever the new money is, we'll be able to allocate a portion of that where we see fit. So if we want to raise minimums, if you want to put in guys' pensions, increase playoffs, whatever our members are saying, we want to see this increase, we have a role in doing that, and we can do that as we see fit. So it's a beautiful thing. It's partnership. We heard this word thrown around so many times, right? And you really can't have partnership without equity, right? And now we are a stakeholder in the game of CFL, and I think it's going to help us work close, more close together. Everything's more aligned, right? Because we see things from the vantage of what's best for what's best for everybody? How do we increase revenues, right? Obviously, player safety is a primary goal of ours, but also now increasing revenues, because the more revenues the CFL makes, the more revenues our player makes, right? So it's a positive thing.
Does the PA feel like they're true partners with the league now because of the revenue sharing, or is there still more work to be done there?
There's still more work to be done, but one other thing that we did in bargain was we negotiated a seat on the Ventures board. And as you know, the Ventures board, which will include Genius Sports, is in charge of new ideas and increasing the revenues of the CFL. So we'll have a seat there, so we'll be able to understand what the long-term goals of the CFL in concert with Genius Sports is, and also provide insight, provide comment, because our objectives are aligned now. So I think the negotiating and having a seat on that Ventures board is going to be very important to quote unquote partnership, and making sure that we also know what's going on, and we also can help with the stability and increased revenues of the CFL.
And how do you think the guaranteed money, salary cap going up, minimum salary going up, the partnership with CFL, as you said, the seat on the board, and the part of this Ventures new era in the CFL helps the CFL going forward?
Well, for them, they have 7 years of labor peace. For them, they can focus on the business. You got to remember, in 2019, we had negotiations as well. 2020, the season was canceled, but we also were negotiating as well due to COVID. In 2021, it was a truncated season. We played 14 games, and we negotiated a deal as well for that truncated 14 game season. So, it's been tough for the CFL to actually maybe focus on the business, dealing with maybe the instability of not having labor peace. So they have 7 years a runway to kind of focus on the business, knowing that they won't have to fight us, right? And for us, we can, be aligned and be able to provide insight and be able to help drive revenues as well. And that's what the players want. The players want to be part of the game, right? And I've said it before, I'll say it again. Our members are the best. They're in the communities. They're doing many events with fans, with kids. They're very accessible, right? And they put a lot of effort in these communities, and they are the stars of the show, and we want to be able to highlight that. And I think we've done that in this collective agreement. It's a perfect note, but I think that there's fundamental pieces in there that will help us grow to our shared common goal of raising revenues and really building this thing out to where everyone can profit.
And one of the major aspects that was a win for the players was taking care of them from a safety and health standpoint long term. A lot of people talk about Jonathan Hefney and what he's had to deal with post-career, but there's a bunch of stories out there. So how critical is that aspect of this new CBA to the membership?
Very critical. Health and safety, like I said before, is our primary goal, making sure that our members are taken care of. What happened to Jonathan shouldn't happen. Jonathan's went through numbers of surgeries, and he's the reason why we've been fighting for WCB, workers' compensation. And while we continue to fight for WCB, we also negotiated extended coverage that'll push the coverage to from 4 to 5 years starting next year. So 5 years, guys' medical and rehab will be taken care of as well. So that's huge. That's something that I'm very proud of. Our work's not done yet. Like I said before, we're still pushing for WCB. We've made some tremendous strides in our pursuit of WCB. But like I said, Jonathan Hefney and what he went through really spurred all this, right?
And what's it been like for you being the CFLPA president? You go from being a player, an elite one, winning a CFL MLP, the only defense player ever to do so, being a dominant defender, and now shifting that focus for the greater good of all players. What's it been like from when you started to where you are now?
It's humbling. It's humbling. Like, I get texts, I get calls from guys I've never talked to. Hey, Solly, I got a question. Hey, Solly, can you help me with this? And it's really humbling because, what the CFL has done for me in my career, in my life, a kid from LA, inner city, Crenshaw, it gave me kind of second chance, right? I exhausted all NFL opportunities, and I still want to play football. I'm like, let me go up to Canada. And who would have thought that I would have a long, successful career? And I just want to be able to give that back to, to these kids, right? These guys that come up from different places, whether it's the States, Canada, or even our global players, and make sure they have a great experience. Because, like I said, when you meet these guys, they're tremendous athletes on the field, but these guys are tremendous people, right? And that's about highlighting them as people, highlighting them, the characters, not just on the football field, but off the football field as well. So, being president has been humbling. You try to see it from all angles, and really trying to understand not just what our players are going through, but also the owners, and maybe what is stopping them from pushing things forward, right? So just having an understanding of how things work, and trying to understand maybe what's stopping it and how to find solutions. Like, there's always problems. My whole thing is, how do we find solutions? And I think that the one thing I can say about this CFL deal that we signed is it kind of brings us all together in terms of how to find solutions. Not working as 10 different partners, 10 different silos, but now we are, have a partnership that can, put things out in open. Like I said, we'll be able to audit statements and have a better understanding of the business model and what they're trying to do. So, all in all, it's been good.
Does it create a strong foundation for the future of this league?
I think so. I think this deal really does. The foundation with guaranteed contract, with revenue sharing, with extended health coverage, those are historical pieces, right? These are things that we've never had before, right? And I think it's really going to push our alignment closer. It's going to have to, right? We want to be part of these talks. The question we're asking is, how can we help? How can we help increase revenues, right? When you're, at a fixed rate, at a fixed salary, let's say $5 million across, across the board, there's really no incentive to kind of increase revenues. Now there's a huge incentive to increase revenues because we get a share of that, right? Our members get a share of that.
The CFLPA Academy is something you're really proud about, Solomon. How does it impact the players and even their families?
Yeah, it's definitely a huge piece. It's something that we've been building for the last few years, and Brian Ramsey, our executive director, who's done a fantastic job, not just with the academy, but just making sure the CFLPA is, our foundation is solid. It's really impactful because, as you know, the careers of athletes isn't that long. And, we'll spend more time outside of football than we will in football. So just make sure guys have the tools to succeed outside of football, make sure they're ready. And our academy, we have over 2,000 members now, and these are current members and alum as well. And we offer, one-on-one coaching, tuition support, health and well-being support, and I'm really, helping guys harness the tools and things they want to do outside of football. We have 10 educational partners within Canada and within the US. So it's just really grown, and it's all about, we want to keep putting more resources into that partnership that we have and into the academy, which is about supporting our members.
That's another way that you've helped the players out in the PA for the future. Solomon, thanks for joining us to talk about this landmark 7-year agreement, especially that guaranteed money. The players are going to like it.
I appreciate you. Thanks for having me.